Well, hello. You stumbled into the Aphidlips Hodgepodge once again. Thanks for tuning in. You can find this on Trigger Warning Radio on triggerwarning.tv. We'll air this and every other episode on the Aphidlip YouTube channel, so go find that, Aphidlip, where you'll find this and every episode that will be airing on the Trigger Warning Radio station. Also, go check out altfeed.org. It's a fun little experiment that's starting to heat up with a social media platform where you can share your ideas and blogs and do whatever you want. Don't forget to tune in on Saturday nights to Smoke Steve's Pub. A bunch of guys and gals tune in and during these hard times, being locked in on a Saturday night, and enjoy a Saturday night as much as we all can. You can also check out the Trigger Warning Show most Tuesdays and the big show on Thursdays. And if you want to join this show, you can catch me on the Twitter or the YouTube. Send me a message on either one of those. I know it's confusing, but both of them are the same, Aphidlip. That's where you'll find me. And this week, once again, we got the second half of our interview with George, where we discuss current topics. This one, it's been filmed, almost a month ago, so bear with me, although some of the topics seem more relevant today than they did when we recorded them. So once again, thanks for tuning in, and here's the discussion I had with George.
I got a little bit of good news. 50 people have been shot dead in St. Louis in the past month of July. So,
that's terrific.
I wondered, out there in California, as the violence numbers increased by, a lot out there as well, or is this something that's an outlier here in St. Louis?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, I'm not really monitoring the crime rates out here.
The Crips and the Bloods aren't going
at it. That's not a thing anymore. You know what happened is in the 90s, they locked a lot of those guys up. And the ones that used to live in South Central and stuff, all those homes used to be worth next to nothing. But when the economy took off and those properties became valuable, many of those families sold the homes and moved. And so people that moved in, a lot of them were Hispanic. And all of these families that were gang affiliated at one time, not to say that these families are gang affiliated, but I mean, they had kids or whatever, right? They were part of these neighborhoods. They all moved to surrounding regions. So if you look at Los Angeles, it would be like the Lancaster area, the San Bernardino area,
right?
Riverside County, places like that. And anyways, but no, the crime rates, as far as I know, haven't been too exciting. Everybody's freaked out in California because they've released some prisoners. And here's the other thing they'll do on Facebook is they'll say, oh, well, the governor has released this fucking rapist. And they'll show a picture of some guy, and he looks completely nuts. I'll give him that. And he's some child molester rapist guy. And they're like, this is what they're doing in California. Right. This is how they're taking care of the coronavirus. They're setting this guy loose. He's going to come fuck you and your family up. And there's always a ton of context to the story that is missing, and they make it like it's a free-for-all and all these people are getting cut loose and the crime rate's going up through the roof. I mean, look, I don't know what to say about it, David. I haven't personally seen it. Maybe it is.
Now, where exactly in reference to to LA is Orange County?
It is about... from downtown Los Angeles is probably about 45 miles to the south east.
Okay. So it's a little inland, but down the coast.
It's on the coast.
Oh, it's on the coast. Okay, so when I was in San Juan Capistrano, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Beautiful place. I love that place. Okay. So that's what I was thinking. So that's a conservative type of area, isn't it?
Kinda. It used to be more conservative. This is also the home of John Wayne Airport, by the way.
Yeah, I do. I know that because that was one of the choices I had when I flew in.
Yeah, and they have a big statue of the Duke in there, and he's got his gun on his hip, and he's like, nice. Well, come on, over. And I was just wondering if that's going to end up in the Dana Point Harbor at some point, but so far it hasn't. And, that's Orange County, and it's pretty conservative. It really is. It's also a very wealthy county. Actually, the most wealthy city per capita in the United States is here, and it's a city called Coda de Casa, and it's really more like a gigantic homeowners association that they call a city. But yeah, it's pretty wealthy. Kobe Bryant lived here.
Okay, okay, yeah.
But it's also an area where a lot of people are pretty highly educated.
Right.
And we have a university, a University of California, Irvine is here, and we have a couple Cal States and stuff. And so,
Man, San Juan Capistrano, that was awesome. I
yeah,
didn't spend much time there, but I ate at an Italian restaurant there, and it was awesome.
yeah, the
Then I
missions
went and
there.
sat at LAX for, God, what was it, like 30 something hours.
Horrible.
I wasn't a big, I've never really, I thought that people use mental issues as a crutch a lot, which I still do. But
Sometimes.
I was completely like, if anybody ever told me, oh yeah, I was depressed or I had a nervous breakdown, or the one that gets me all the time is the I don't know, but nervous breakdown, whatever. Just blame stuff on. Usually I really, when the person's telling me this, I'm like, yeah, but you got a shitty life and you're just realizing that your life's shitty. But anyway, when I got stuck at LAX, I was up for the two times that I've had problems. I was up for like more than 24 hours, and I almost had a nervous breakdown. In LAX, we just kept missing flights. We were on standby because my buddy works for the airlines, and Jesus, I don't want to ever step one foot in that airport ever again, because
Yeah.
it's one of the worst experiences of my life.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrible there. I know. I've never enjoyed a single trip to LAX I've ever had to do in my life. And so I
Speaking
hear you.
speaking of, I think that as far as mental breakdowns go, is in our lifetime, I don't think that we have ever had a time in our lifetime that such a large percentage of the population is on the verge of a mental breakdown as it is right now. The closest in our lifetime, I think, would probably be 9/11, but I don't think this compares to what's going on right now. And honestly,
Yeah.
honestly, I think we're probably, maybe if we're lucky, halfway through this.
Right.
The hardships, I don't think we're like 20% of experiencing the hardships that's going to be created by this whole mess. But I really think that if we're lucky, if everything goes perfectly to plan, we're halfway through this right now. But yeah, I think that the like the people on the Facebook, the people on the Twitter, a lot of them are just totally on the edge of just exploding.
Yeah. No, and I get it. I mean, man. I mean, we're social creatures, and we're cut off from everybody if we're obeying the directives. If we're not, there's probably part of people that realizes it's risky, and that adds to their anxiety. And like, it is an awful situation that we're all in.
It
And
is, but it's a worldwide
yeah,
pandemic. We need to face the reality that yes, this, hopefully, knock on wood, this will be the worst time we ever face. This will be the defining moment of our lifetimes. This will be our World War II.
fuck.
Hopefully
Well,
this
we're
won't.
off to a
Hopefully,
bad start.
yeah. Hopefully this won't be our Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
But it's kind of
That's
turning into
exactly
it.
right.
They were
It
saying,
really is.
I
Yeah.
heard tonight that they were going through some of the places that have dealt with this, and we just got those numbers today, where we're at 32% drop in our, I don't know what it was. I don't know what horrible number it was revealed today, GDP or whatever it was. But the number was like 32 point something percent or whatever it was. It was just some horrible, ungodly number that was the worst drop in we've ever had in the history of taking the stats. But what I found interesting was they went through some of the other places, like in Europe and China and all these other places, and they were like barely in the double digits. They were like 10%. Most of them, it seemed like they were hovered around 10%, and we're like at 30 something percent, and it's just like, good Lord, are we really doing that bad of a job? And I'd have to say, yes, we are. On that note, of the mental breakdowns, I know of several families that are having serious, just serious problems caused pretty much solely because of this whole pandemic. just mostly because of difference of opinions, I would say would probably be the most. And then some with just being stuck in a house and being with somebody 24 hours a day that you don't want to be stuck in a house with. And you realize that once you're stuck in a house with them for 24 hours. But I think it's, I'm always fascinated more with the sociological aspect of different situations. And this one is surely no different from any of the other ones. But the whole family dynamic of the of what's going on right now is just fascinating to me, and how some people, just are just like, the part of the family is wanting to be as careful as possible so you can try to keep that connection. And, we've had to cancel some family events because of some that are just, luckily my side of the family is so small because everybody's died that it's down, it's
well,
down to my mom
maybe
and
the
my
other
brother.
side will catch up thanks to the Rona.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope
That's
not.
the problem. Okay.
But real quick on that,
yeah,
you're talking
go-
about families.
go.
If I could just, I mean,
Yeah, go
it
for
just
it.
makes me think about how delicate families are, and
Yeah.
that our relationships that we have in families with each other, like it doesn't take much to throw everything off. I mean,
Right.
if you think about like when you live with when you grew up, or like even if your current family, it just takes one person going, off the rails to throw everybody off. And
Right.
like this situation has thrown everybody off the rails. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it leaves people in a really destabilized situation. So even if they were able to go home normally, which is like where your solace is, well, hey, it's going to be a mess there too. There's kind of nowhere you can turn. And I get that it's hard on people. I get it, man. I know it's hard.
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's, like I keep saying, it's a worldwide pandemic. There's sacrifices that are gonna need to be made. There's stuff that is gonna be turned up. That's going back to the whole school thing. I'm sure my son would like to hang out with his friends. And first of all, my son is like, like he is so like, he's 11 now, so he's on the internet. And he knows what's going on. He's listening in the background while he's playing Xbox of the news when it comes on. So he's completely concerned about the whole thing. And this is just as I'm not like keeping him from doing something he wants to do. He's fully aware, and he's making the decision himself that he doesn't want to be put into a situation like that. But it's tough. We're all gonna, the kids thing. Yeah, the kids are it's gonna be tough for the kids, but it's gonna be tough for everybody. That's life. That's we gotta face reality and not try to candy coat it for each other or candy coat it for our kids, because this is how things are gonna be.
right. Well, I mean, yeah, to a certain point, we have to kind of just sort of accept that this is going to be tough, and be as flexible as we can be with each other, and
Right.
patient. And I think also learn to actually, like, it could be a learning opportunity. You could learn to actually cope with your emotions and the way that you feel in a healthy way. Like, it is an opportunity to come out of this thing better for it, and to grow a little bit in your emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
but
sure. Everything. When I was, I didn't hit puberty till I was a senior in high school. Okay, so life was fucking tough, until I hit. Well, I mean, even then I was still little, but luckily I had a lot of friends and stuff. But I got shoved in trash cans and zoomed to the girl side of the gym, and I'm
nice.
like sitting in a trash can because I got stuffed in it, holding on to the edge because I'm like 90 pounds, and you know what I'm saying. But those things help me now when I judge people, or don't take anything for granted, or almost every one of the way I am today, and a lot of the positive things I am today, is because of what happened to me in a bad way when I was younger. So that's going to be the
Right.
same thing with every generation. And I think that if we, just we can't just be like, I don't know. I just feel strongly that if it's shitty, it's shitty for everybody right now. And sending them back to a school where they're all going to be wearing masks and be in the sterile environment, and the teachers, what are they going to be behind like plexiglass shields, rolling up and down the aisles, on a
Oh, that's
cart?
gonna go great.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's
On a
not.
cart.
I mean, seriously, the Pope Mobile? They're going to be in the Pope Mobile, going up and down the aisles of their 6 foot spread apart desk. So, do I feel bad that he's going to miss out on that? No, I don't feel bad at all. He's going to stay at home for a year, and hopefully just a year. Jesus, I mean, maybe this is the way things. Maybe if it's not this one, it's going to be something else, and that super virus from all of us using, hand sanitizer is going to break out. You never know. This.
Oh God.
We might be going to the Wally days,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know, so, I don't really feel guilty about it. And
Well, okay. Well, two things, real quick, if I could.
no,
The
the
thing with
stage
the
is yours, George.
well, okay. Well, thank you, Aphid. The thing with the kid, it's like, and picturing what school is going to be like is hilarious. And I do think though that this is the first time we've ever had to do remote school. It's going to take some getting used to. Like they all got forced into this. This was their first time ever doing it. We're in crisis mode. Everybody's
Right.
freaking out. Yeah, it was a shit show. Of course it was a shit show. What are they going to be like in not this first semester back, but the semester after that? Maybe they'll do better. Maybe they'll get used to it. It's like we
Right.
think that just because it sucks now, it's going to be this horrible mess forever. No, it takes people time to adapt.
Right.
Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, you mentioned the hand sanitizer. Now, I have had a very hard time finding hand sanitizer. First, when this whole thing started, you couldn't find it anywhere.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, there's hand sanitizer everywhere. But I noticed that when I get this hand sanitizer, it smells like fucking bourbon, okay? It doesn't smell like, it's not regular hand sanitizer.
Right.
You put this stuff on, I mean, it smells like, it smells like I'm putting on a
Right.
martini or something.
Right.
I mean, it's,
Well,
I don't know if you noticed that, but there's people.
well,
making
no,
it
I got,
fat
luckily, I got a, well, first we went, when this first thing, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I saw the writing on the wall, and we went to not that it lasted either, but we went to the grocery store and stocked up like super early. We didn't have a garage full of, I got to tell you, this guy at the bottom of my street, still to this day, he must have at least 30 packages of toilet paper, and it's it's at the end of his garage, like maybe possibly that was the only spare space he had to stack all this shit. But he's got
He lets people see it, huh?
he's got paper towel, and he's one of those guys that always leaves his garage door open. So every
Oh.
time I drive the bottom of my street, I see the stack from floor to ceiling. I've wanted to go on his driveway and take a selfie, and because it's still fucking there, and he must have went there and with like a van and loaded up the van because there's so
Yeah.
much of it. But anyway, we saw. And like I said, it didn't make a difference anyway because we've been back a billion times to the grocery store since then. But we did stock up early. And with the hand sanitizer, we went to Bed Bath & Beyond, that store. And they had the little bitty, like, personal hand sanitizer thing. So we all got, like, a couple of those that we were going to
Yeah.
So my son got a couple, I got a couple, my wife got a couple, whatever. And they all stank too. Like the first day we were there, it's like those old scratch and sniff
Yeah.
books we had when we were a kid. Like the first time you scratch it, you're like, wow, that pickle smells just like a pickle. I love that smell. Let me scratch it again. But you go back to that book for the 20th time and you're like, I don't even want to turn that page again. And that's the way these all, because every single one of them has a smell to it. It's like
Oh.
Midnight Ocean or whatever, And they all are like, you wear it like 2 or 3 times, or you splash it 2 or 3 times on your hands, and you just can't take it anymore. And anyway, so I had those, but I also had from just in my shop for some reason, I had this pump before any of this happened that is like, like a tall pump thing. And when those little bitty stupid smelly things ran out, I was like, I don't ever use this pump sanitizer at my shop. I'm going to put it in the door of my truck. So I got a perfect place in the door of my truck. And it's perfect because you don't have to like pop the cap or anything. You just push down on the top with your dirty Rona hand. And it squirts all the way over your hand. And you got plenty, You know, because that was another thing. You'd get a drop or two out of those little squirt bottles, and it wouldn't
Right.
go shit. But the pump thing, it just squirts out a whole load. It's like spewing a load of
Oh yeah.
sperm onto your hands.
Yeah, basically it's the same amount. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
I did a comparison, and it was real similar, about the same amount. But yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to your point. I get off track so easily. But
Me
my
too.
wife, she went to Target, I believe, and she got this. Finally, she found some place that had the sanitizer, so she bought the sanitizer. And supposedly, it's like there's some huge recall right now for bad sanitizer going around. And she's like, I'm gonna take it back because she got two different places, and it's two of them are on the recall list. And she's like, because I guess they're jacking up the price on the sanitizer right now. So, like she's like, I'm gonna get my money back, because she's not gonna get her money back. Though. She's gonna sit in there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can return hand sanitizer.
Well, it's a recall, so Target recalled these. So yeah, you can.
Oh,
You
okay.
can
Well,
go
I
back
guess
there.
if it's a recall, I just wonder what. Yeah.
It reminds me of this funny story. When I was I worked at this pool hall. I used to be big into pool gambling and stuff, and I always worked at these pool halls. And I worked at this pool hall, and on the way out there, I used to get there was a Jack in the Box by my house, and I was in love with those dollar chicken sandwiches and $2 tacos. But anyway, so I go there, and I had this. It's too long a story to tell you all of it, so I'll just say it. I went through the drive-through, and they didn't hear me right or something, and I was there for I gave them my order or whatever, and it was like 10 minutes. I'm sitting there, and she never said nothing back. So I'm like, all right, well, there's nobody else in front of me, and nobody behind me. So finally, I just drove up to the window, and I'm like, hey man, did you get my order? And she's like, no, and I'm like, well, I wanted two chicken sandwiches. So I I noticed that while I was sitting there in the drive-through, the like guys cooking the food kept looking out the window, and I'm like, that seems odd. Why are they looking at me? And it was about a half-hour drive to this pool hall I worked at. So I eat the one chicken sandwich, no problem. I get to the second one, I open it up, and there's like in the center of the top of the bun, there's like a finger hole in it. It looks just like somebody stuck their finger in the center of the. So I lift the lid on it, lift the top bun, and there's a perfect fucking like crusty with a string booger on the top of the chicken
Shut
sandwich.
up.
Yes, totally. So this is back in like
Ugh.
the early '90s, and this car I had was such a beater. But I can't get in. I can't get into how this because it's just too big of a story. But anyway, so this
These
is
are the-
back in the early '90s.
These are the kind of hardships that make it so you can get through something like the coronavirus.
Right, exactly. So it was back in the early '90s, and you're old enough you might remember this. You'd have been younger, but there was some Jack in the Box had some like bad meat or something. I can't remember
Oh
exactly.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. There's a
it
bunch
killed-
of lawsuits.
Well,
Yeah.
I think two people like died or something.
Oh,
but
yeah.
this was during that time, right? So
remember that.
so I was like. I was convinced I was gonna like make it to the fat house, and I was gonna like sue them. They're gonna blood test this booger, right?
Oh god.
And they were gonna try to avoid the humiliation of all the bad publicity they were getting, and they were
Yeah.
gonna set me up for life. And I was convinced. So I threw the chicken sandwich in the back of this. It was It was like a '76 Monte Carlo that I had, and I threw it back there. Every body panel on this car was a different color, by the way. It matters to the story. And I threw it in the back seat, and it sat back there for months and months and months. And finally, I cleaned out. Like a year
back
later,
burner back there.
I cleaned out this Monte Carlo, and this chicken sandwich was so beyond repair to what I was gonna, make my living off of for the rest of my life.
Should have saved it in a Ziploc,
Right.
Aphid.
I know. Okay.
Like that Monica dress, wherever they
Yeah,
preserved that.
right.
That happened about the same time, I think.
It was close to the same time. That was probably like 94-ish, 95 Monica. This was probably like 92, so a couple years
Nice.
later. Okay, so we're almost to the end of my list here. This has been so much fun, George. I gotta thank you before I thank you again. Okay, so the whole The whole, which by the way, if anybody's listening to this, um, we did this show once before, which was ironically the third time I've done this show, um, and I didn't record any of George's audio, so I had to scrap it. So that was almost a month ago, and everything has pretty much changed. So we can't go.
This
over the
show
same
was
time.
better.
Yeah, I do agree.
This-
I agree. I've had
it's
so
been
much fun.
better.
I have so much fun. But I felt like we were came off as a little too liberal last time too. With some
Yeah. We're total conservatives.
we're total. Yeah, don't turn this off. We're totally like on your side. Masks suck. Masks suck.
That's right.
But
I don't live in fear.
this whole federal these federal agents going into these cities is really been interesting as of late, and I noticed that there was a little bit of it was a little bit ironic because I always notice hypocrisy in life, George, and I noticed there was a little bit of hypocrisy with some of the people that were talking heavily about this being totally okay, and I said so. This was actually a tweet, almost verbatim. It might be. I might have copied this straight from my Twitter account, which is Aphidlip. I'm Aphidlip on Twitter if you want to, find out, what's really cool. But I said, before you turn a blind eye to federal agents beating protesters, or even encourage, I must have spelled encourage wrong because it's got a blue squiggly line underneath it, or even encouraged by the excuse that they're protecting federal buildings, don't think your opinion couldn't possibly be different. April 30th, Lansing, Michigan protests. Armed protesters stormed the Capitol building. And I just thought, there's a lot of back and forth with this whole, with some of these things, especially with the protests going on. And I just remember just like maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks before the whole George Floyd thing came out, that those armed protesters stormed that Capitol building to reopen the government. And I just thought it was kind of ironic that some of the same people that I saw, patting those guys on the back for storming the Capitol building with their AR, whatever they are now complaining about people doing basically the same thing on the other side. And then the election, I thought today, I don't know when this will go air, but today Trump bounced around the idea of possibly delaying the election, which I'm really interested. He tweeted about it, so
because he doesn't want him to do it by mail, even though research has shown that the fraud rate by mail voting is like 0.0006% or something like that. It doesn't happen.
You can't talk about those things.
It's just an excuse. That's just a bullshit excuse.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that he realizes unless there's a vaccine that's readily available to the public, that he's got no chance in hell on getting reelected.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure
if you can delay it,
then they can get that.
Until they get their virus
well,
out.
He's gonna
not their virus, but
I don't know if you know, but he's gonna get that vaccine. He's in charge of making that vaccine and supplying it to the masses.
Yeah. Well, what's it going to be? What's this great vaccine going to be? Is it going to be some of his chemical agents, or is it going to be
bleach? It's going to be bleach and sun.
The sunlight, getting the sun where the sun don't shine. And not to be like a completely dick about it. I mean, whatever. Here. Okay, real quick. Just back about the thing about the government buildings and the protesters and stuff, because I want to play fair, and I will say the difference with the protesters at this federal site in Portland is that it was a federal courthouse that was being messed with for whatever reason. They sent federal agents to protect that federal property. The situation with the Capitol, that was a state capitol, so it was a state police jurisdiction. And the way they handled that was according to what the state police decided to do. So it's a little different in that sense. But the optics of it and what Trump said about the two different situations, I think, is still very much fair game, because he totally encouraged the behavior of one and denounced the other.
Right. Those were patriots.
Right. And that's the issue. And I know that people are going to try to make the excuse. They're going to say, oh, but it was totally different situation because of the whole one's a federal property, one's a state. But it's like,
it's not it's not apples and oranges. This is not an apples and oranges type of thing. Here's the deal. The people that are sticking up for the people that stormed the armed, they were fully armed and they stormed that. I'm not sticking up for either one of these. I think they're both completely wrong. I don't think that the way you win an argument, if you're a Black Lives Matter person, is destroying property.
I agree.
Completely wrong. But storming a courthouse armed is not correct either. And
the Capitol,
If you're sorry, the Capitol. So if you're gonna, you can't stand. Stand up for neither of them. Because if you condone one, it is equal to condoning both of them. Is just the way I look at it.
Yeah. I still can't believe that those guys, I mean, God, they were breaking out fucking Nazi flags. It was like, are you guys serious? Like, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I think in part of it is they might have been a little bit worried about if they do have a standoff with all those guys who are armed like that. It just takes one of them being psycho for the entire thing to turn into a bloodbath.
Right. And, well, that's the thing. Just because you don't so the Black Lives Matters, obviously there's more people motivated enough to keep this going on, where equally wrong in my eyes was the whole storming the Capitol building while armed because you wanted to open up the government. But just because you couldn't find enough people that were motivated enough to go with you and take it further and get tased or get beat by federal agents doesn't make one better than the other. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I see it.
Right. Oh, and I also think the way that they handled the protesters or the demonstrators, really, in front of the White House, and in front of that church and stuff like that, and
what about the poor guy that this ex-Navy? I don't know if he's Army or Navy. I talked about it already, but not in here, but before. I can't remember now. But I the guy he was like 72 years old. He went there. He wasn't part of the protesters.
Oh, I saw.
He went there to face those guys. There's an interview which they didn't make a big deal about that, which I'm surprised about.
He was a combat medic from Vietnam.
Yeah. Okay. So he just went there to question the authority, which I get. I have no problem with people that want to question authority. I don't like pretty much any authority, but he goes there to question authority. He was not standing on the grounds. He was in the street, and he was not armed. He thought when he gave his, I don't know if you saw the interview he gave, but he gave an interview, and he thought he thought those guys were probably ex-military people themselves, and if he had his Vietnam backpack on, if he had his Navy shirt on, his Navy hat on, that maybe they would relate to him, and he could have a conversation with them instead of, he didn't go up to him, and was like trying to start a fight with him. He went up there with his arms raised and everything, and they just start beating this guy. It broke like his hand. And some people, I got into an argument with somebody that thought that was totally okay. That he said his rebuttal to me about me saying that was wrong was play stupid games, win stupid prizes, which I just absolutely hate that argument because I've heard it before. But the guy was if we live in the United States of America, if we live in a place where we cannot go peacefully and question why something is happening without getting beat, then man, that's just wrong. And I don't care what side you're on, that's wrong.
Well, it's so hypocritical. I mean, all
Yeah,
these people talk about how much they hate tyranny,
right.
and yet here you go. Here's probably the closest example that you've actually had to seeing some of it.
Right,
It's not the fact that you have to wear a mask. It's what's going on with the way these different First Amendment demonstrations have been handled,
right,
and yet you're totally silent on that, and you support the side that's putting the boot on people's neck. And
right.
I just think that's so weird.
And and
That
and
are yeah.
to think that me saying that means that I agree with the way that Portland has handled all this stuff is just
Right.
asinine. Because I don't agree
Right.
with that. But it's possible for somebody that logically thinks to think that the way Portland has handled this whole situation is completely wrong. But it's also completely wrong for federal agents to act like that to somebody that is just questioning why you are doing what you're doing.
Right.
And
I
that's
agree.
unfair. That's completely unfair.
Yeah, I think that the reality exists in the grays in between. It's not these black and white, one side or this side. This, like, I don't think there's ever a situation where one side is completely and totally right in every sense.
No.
It's just these are all.
Well, it's impossible. It's impossible for,
Yeah.
some of us are right some of the time and we're also wrong some of the time as well. Okay, so in this upside down world we live in today, sometimes getting censored is the best way to spread your agenda. And my examples are that Keck the Frog. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Nobody, well, we knew what it was, but that's because who we were friends with on Skype. But most people didn't know who that Keck the Frog was until it was put on the whatever that list was.
And that came from like 4chan and groups like
Right,
that, right?
right.
From the internet.
Right.
Okay.
And Count Dankula, that was the guy that had the dog. He taught the dog how to salute, do the Nazi salute. Remember that guy?
I didn't know about that one, but
Oh, you didn't know about? Well, that guy's like relevant now. It was just
okay.
like a year ago where this guy he taught I think it was a pug. He taught him how to do the Hitler salute.
Oh, that's nice.
But now this guy is completely relevant, and but he was censored because of that. He was taken down and he was lambasted because of teaching the dog to do that. But
Yeah.
now this guy is like an important figure in,
Really?
Twitter or
An
whatever.
important figure.
Yeah, like people like okay, let's say for argument's sake, let's say he had 100,000 followers before. And now, since that event happened, since they censored him and took the video down that he posted,
Oh.
he's got millions of followers.
Are you shitting me?
No.
Millions?
Count Dankula.
Wow.
Yeah, millions that listen to like
Let me look this guy
he
up.
is a
Count
he is a,
Dankula?
Count Dankula. He's an important
Okay.
figure in social media these days. And then also you have the most recent.
Mark Mechan is his name?
Yeah, I don't know. I know him as Count.
Yeah. He looks.
If you do Count Dankula,
Oh,
you're gonna
man.
come up with him.
You got to do the wiki on this guy. It's hilarious.
So, and the most recent is crazy lab coat lady praising hydroxychloroquine yesterday. Now I gotta
Well,
be
it's the doctor chick, right?
yeah.
Well, she's a doctor.
The doctor.
Okay,
So
Crazy
instantly.
doctor.
Like I wake up, I get my cup of coffee, I turn on the Twitter, sometimes I turn on the Facebook, I see what's happening, I want to know what the kids are up to today, and I instantly was fascinated with this video of and then I started seeing, throughout the day it was like just exploding, but instantly, I went back to my Live Leak days and how I used to get all the videos and stuff. And I started doing my research. So I went through the guy that was hosting, because there was also a 2-hour long doctors convention that they put on that chick was part of. That was when they marched out in front of the courthouse or whatever it was.
Yeah, with their little white coats on.
Right.
Yeah, because how many of them was there? Like 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so I looked into the dude first that hosted the thing, and he was ophthalmologist. So,
Yeah, well, that's red flag number one. You're
right,
not even a
right.
real
And
doctor
so
if
he
you're an
hosted the
ophthalmologist.
show, and
No offense to
and
ophthalmologists.
he was went to his practice and everything, and he was from what I could tell, like his customers were really pleased with his services on treating their eyes.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find anything of him on any kind of infectious disease or anything that would tend to let me think that this guy was some kind of voice of reason. So then I got to the chick, and boy, that was when I went down the rabbit hole. I went to her Twitter first, and you went back a day or two, and then all her tweets, which was like hourly, had 0 likes, 0 retweets, 0 anything. So instantly I thought, well, if she's a doctor, even if she posted stuff that people didn't agree with or was nonsense, she's still going to get enough to get more than 1 like a post. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she's a doctor and she's got all these patients that she's helped out and cured, whatever. They're going to be grateful. And, I'm sure the foot doctor down at the bottom of my mom's street, if he's got a Twitter account, he's probably got likes and stuff on everything he posts. So that instantly threw up a red flag. I kept going back further and further into her Twitter, and I came to a video she posted from a YouTube. So I went to the YouTube, and it was her YouTube account. So then that's when the party started happening. I start looking through all these things, and I'm like, oh my God, because like a lot of her stuff was when she was still in Nigeria. That's where she came from, and it was these videos of her preaching, and she was like at these I'm sure you've seen the sermons where like the people are into like snakes. You've seen those before. And they start going crazy, like they're just dancing all over the place, raising their arms. Well, they were all doing that to everything she said. And the theme that she had with most of these videos was burning these people, burning the demons, burning the people. And then, like, I find that the name of her ministries is something Fire Ministries, and the name of her practice is Fire Practice. And then, so I talked to my wife, because it was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and I, had our first talk, when I was at work and she was at home or whatever, and I was like, oh my God, yes, I'm telling her about this. And I'm like, there's no way. Cause at that time there was like 10 views on all her videos on YouTube. And I'm like, there's no way I'm the only one that's going to find all this shit out, And then by like noon, it was out that she's into like these videos. There was clips of her talking about aliens impregnating demons and all this crazy whacked out shit, So then it was, and then he was by like 5 o'clock, he did his press conference. Trump did. And they knew, all the reporters knew all this stuff. And they're like, so, and he didn't know that they were going to know, I guess, or he doesn't, maybe he doesn't research or what, I don't know. But anyway, he was like, yeah, then there was this lady, and she had such good points, and the person that had a question was like, yeah, but she said that demons impregnated and all this stuff, and he was like, okay, that's the end of the press conference, and walked off the stage, and you could see it in his face. He was all pissed and huffy and everything.
Oh God.
And it was just
Trump is like, yeah, but Trump is like, it's like, the old guy that's on Facebook who is like a friend of the family. Like, I'm just thinking about this one guy who's like super crazy, and
everybody's
like,
got that guy.
There he goes again with his weird posts. Like, okay, Bob, like whatever.
Right.
And he's totally that guy. Like, it's like he doesn't have the ability to be able to determine what's bullshit and what's real.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, I just think it's crazy that this guy, he's the president, like he's in charge of
the free world,
military, the fucking everything, man, and our safety. Yeah. And he's listening. Like, listen, motherfucker, you're gonna spend. I don't know how much time he spent watching her crazy bullshit. It should have been 0 seconds.
Yeah, right.
Okay, like, we're paying you, we're trusting you.
Yeah.
You're going to spend your time in office in a efficient and effective way. That is, you're not going to be getting. We don't send you there to watch shit on YouTube like that and then make decisions for us. We send you there to listen to experts and read the fucking briefings and then make choices that are that are informed. And this is insane. And the fact that there's people out there that are like, this is okay.
Right.
Now, can I ask you about this lady? What did she have? How did she get her? What is her degree? She's a doctor. What's the deal?
She's a pediatrician. She has a practice in a strip mall that is next door to her ministry. It was a questionable strip mall, but she does have her PhD. She is a doctor.
What's her name again?
Oh geez. I mean, just
I'll find it.
Google lab coat lady, and you'll come up with her. It's like I don't know what it is. A meal or something. I don't know. It's like a Nigerian sounding name. But yeah, look her up. She's great. She is great. And it was funny too because her tweet yesterday morning when all this started blowing up, she was like, "Mr. Trump, if you want to talk to me anytime you want, I'm ready."
Anytime. Yeah, she's got no plans. She's got no. She's got all the time in the world for you, Mr. President.
Oh man!
Why don't you have her over for dinner?
The QAnon. Are you familiar with
Yes.
QAnon? Okay. And are you? Another person that might hear this is a relative of mine, and I almost, but I can't hold my judgments back because of that. And but they scream over this, the Wayfair. Have you heard about the Wayfair and how they have the Wayfair? You know what Wayfair is? It's a website where you can buy furniture at.
Sure.
Okay, well, this QAnon, they think that the Wayfair. there was this ad that had these 4 pieces of, I think they were bookshelves or something, and the names of these bookshelves were names of these 4 girls that were abducted in different times in history. So there was this huge conspiracy that Wayfair was behind this child pedophile ring thing, because it's always the child pedophile ring.
Yeah, because that's
Pizzagate. It's always. I am convinced that the pedophile route is the route that they take to reel the people in, to pull at their heartstrings, and get them in. Because the people they're like, oh, pedophile, what's this all about, And it's always the pedophile stuff. The Ellen DeGeneres, she's supposedly, she's under house arrest right now. There's pictures of her on her show because she does her show from her house now. And you can clearly see the ankle bracelet that's on her ankle because she's been finally busted for this child pedophile ring.
Oh, come on.
Now this QAnon is not you would think by what I've told you so far and what you know of them, it's a complete joke, but it is not a joke. There is so many people that have been just brainwashed is the best way I can describe it by this QAnon. Even this the guy that just got out of prison, or what didn't get out of prison, but the charges were all dropped. What's his name? The guy that was at the very beginning lied to Pence and got kicked off the. Oh, come on, what's his name? You don't know who I'm talking about? The Trump guy.
No, I think I do. I know.
The little guy.
Right now, yeah.
Anyway, like on 4th of July, he posted this video where he gave the pledge to this QAnon. So, it's not like and Trump has there's been like 60 something times where his tweets have referred to the QAnon place. But what I don't understand is, and I don't understand it with Trump as well, like with this. Like yesterday, you couldn't turn on Facebook or Twitter without seeing the same people that are the crew. You remember we talked about the crew earlier?
Right.
The crew were sharing this video, and we're like, see? I told you the hydroxychloroquine was the answer to all our prayers, and you guys didn't believe me. But at the end of the day, they look like idiots because this lady was talking about alien blood, and stuff. and but they'll go back the next day and they'll still buy into the same thing that made them look like fools the day before, and that's what I don't understand. How the people keep getting, tricked, because this QAnon, when I'm sure you remember at the very beginning when everybody kind of realized this whole coronavirus was real, was when Tom Hanks got the Rona. He was down in Australia or New Zealand, one of those.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the night that everybody was like, "Oh, yeah, this is a real deal," but the QAnon was claiming that he didn't have coronavirus. He was head. I know this sounds like I'm a broken record, but he was the head of a child pedophile ring and was getting busted, and he was really under arrest, and the whole coronavirus was a hoax.
Oh my God. Well, and where does 5G fit into this? Because that's in there somewhere.
Yeah, the 5G. Yeah, it is. It's causing.
I think some people have been just kind of hurt in ways in their life that they're paranoid about stuff, and they buy into this sort of thing. And
there's got to be some logical explanation.
Doing the world a favor by exposing it.
But with some of the people, I can only think that maybe their life is so miserable that they need this, and they have such a hard time dealing with the reality of what we're all facing right now, that this false reality maybe is comforting to them because they know it's not real, and they use that as an excuse to deny what the state of the way the world really is right now. I don't know, but
maybe.
I don't know. It's because none of it makes sense, and the percentage of the population that is so gullible to fall for this thing is alarming. I used to think that social media was a good thing, but now I'm starting to wonder if one, either I don't want to know how crazy that such a large percentage of the population is, or two, that so many of the people can be so easily manipulated by stuff that they see on social media. It's one of those two options.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It probably is one of those two options. It's, I don't know. It's a pain. It's totally frustrating. And you want to yell at somebody, but that's not going to do any good.
No, it's not going to do a damn. It's proven fact that that is not the way to change their mind at all.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, George, the one thing that I'm really surprised that we haven't heard more about, and I'm slightly fascinated, even though it kind of lends into the whole conspiracy thing, is this whole Pentagon announcing that they have alien vehicles that are not from Earth.
Right. Well, I think what the announcement was is they have materials. Well, it wasn't even the government saying this, right? It was it was people that worked for a private company that was investigating these materials who made that claim, right? That they were like parts or materials or something that were from vehicles, right?
Well,
or
did
the government say?
I thought that what I read was that the Pentagon said, and they haven't released the information, they're going to release the information in a month and a half, which this was announced like a week ago, so whatever it is. But that it was alien vehicles made from, or that they do not believe were made on this planet. That is, I could have sworn, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I thought I saw the Pentagon was part of their announcement. And Marco Rubio is in charge of this whole.
Well, that's terrifying.
Yeah. He's in charge of the whole, whatever, the crew that's like in charge of this whole thing, And he said that his concerns were, it was more of, it could lead you to believe what he said, that it could be foreign actors and the activity was over our U.S. bases, and that's what his concerns were. So that leads me to believe that, maybe they're just unidentified, or maybe it's a loose definition of the term vehicle. Maybe that, maybe it's like a meteorite that housed something, and that's, considered a vehicle of some. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like but the fact that that kind of information being, what they did say was enough for it to be just like, if there wasn't some worldwide pandemic going on, that would just be, you know, just crazy talk right now. And it's pretty much, you did hear a little bit about it, but not like, as much as you would think would be about it.
Yeah, no, I think that the story is interesting, and I think that really what got my attention was the interview with that Captain Fravor, who was a Hornet pilot, with one of the incidents that they caught on video. And I mean, to his eyes, it was something he couldn't identify that he thought was really weird. And they talk about like the Tic Tac or whatever. And it's not even in the footage, I think, that they show a lot of what he's talking about. So, I mean, I think that maybe there is stuff out there. Maybe it's ours. Maybe it's
right.
Foreign power. I don't know. Maybe it's from another freaking planet or dimension. I have no idea. But it's a hell of a thing to be just dropping that. Listen, if the freaking if the spaceships show up, like if there is ever a good year to have them show,
right?
Why not? I mean, It's almost August, okay? Like we've got just like let's just why not? What else can we do?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a good thought. I've always kind of thought that I never really believed in UFOs or aliens. I thought that if there was an outside chance that there any truth to any of that, it was that they were time travelers that were coming back, and that's why it was so hush hush. Is because one, it would ruin the future if we like on Back to the Future, you can't talk about it. But the one thing that there's always been kind of that standardized view of these people that had these experiences with these, larger shaped heads and these big eyes and these green skin and no facial hair. And I saw this thing when I was, I don't know, 12 or 13. It was at our science center here in St. Louis, where it showed that what they believe the evolution of humans is going to be, millions and millions of years from now, and you could just keep going on and on in the future. And when you got to like, a certain point, it started looking a lot like that alien, because the greenness of our skin, because of radiation, we don't need hair anymore. So that all went, and our eyes got bigger. And I was like, that kind of, just kind of put that into my brain. But I just don't think that aliens coming from, I've always had a hard time believing that it was physically possible for an alien to make that long of a journey, and if one came now, unless there's some type of dimensional travel that we just can't think of, but I just don't think that the human cells could, I just don't think that, from what we know, I just don't think that it's possible for a being to withstand, travel over that far of a period of space.
Right. Yeah, it would have to be something where they're able to warp or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, there are these claims and these declassified accounts especially from military people, talking about, our nuclear weapon storage facilities and our nuclear missile fields, and these different places where they've seen a lot of these whatever they are. And that, I mean, these were, stories that people have said, and they're actually, information's getting out there about that. And that's pretty weird. I mean, and this stuff that goes back to the 60s and 70s, when we would have for sure had the technological advantage. So if those stories are true, then that makes you kind of think, well, then what the heck is this stuff? And why are they there? Why are they obviously focused there? I don't know the answer to that, but I did look up that doctor, Stella Emanuel.
Oh yeah, that's her. Yeah.
And it says that she was born in 1965 in Cameroon.
Oh wow, I didn't know she was that old.
Mm-hmm. And she recalled an interest in becoming a doctor from about age 4. Emanuel attended the Cameroon Protestant College, a secondary school in Bali. She graduated from the Nigerian Medical School at the University of Calabar in 1990, moved to the U.S. She did a pediatric residency at the Bronx Lebanon Hospital Center in New York. And let's see. It says that Emmanuel's medical claims are sometimes combined with her spiritual beliefs. She has said that many gynecological illnesses are the result of having sex dreams with succubi and incubi and receiving demon sperm. She has said that endometriosis, infertility, miscarriages, and sexually transmitted infections are caused by the spirit husbands and spirit wives. According to Emmanuel, the causes of cysts and endometriosis are individuals having sex in their dreams with demons and witches. And she said in 2015 that sermon that space alien DNA is used in medical treatments, and that reptilians and aliens run the government. So, I mean,
She's totally credible.
yeah.
I mean, that pretty much just seals it up.
Listen, the way 2020 is going, she might be the real deal.
She might be. Well, on that note, I think we're about done with this. I had so much fun tonight talking to you, George. I hope you had a good time too.
I had a great time, absolutely.